Welcome back to Q&A Friday. This week's Q&A Friday is actually going to be a part 2. So if you haven't checked out my last Q&A Friday on deprivation syndrome, I'm going to suggest you stop now, go do that, and then come check out this video because it's going to make a lot more sense. Just to remind you, the last Q&A Friday about deprivation syndrome was based off of a question that asked, what do I do if I'm afraid to give myself permission to eat? After years of dieting, a lot of times people are afraid to eat. They're afraid of this idea of I can give myself permission to eat anything I want. That means I'm going to eat everything. And the question that was asked basically said, how can I do that? How can I allow myself to just eat whatever I want? What I explained in last week's Q&A Friday video about deprivation syndrome is why that happens and how you can begin to trust yourself. So I'm going to follow up by talking about what I call the pendulum swing effect and give you just a different way of looking at it. The more that you're able to kind of conceptualize this idea, the better you're going to be able to apply change. So the pendulum swing effect is the idea that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And I'm pretty sure that that's Isaac Newton's law of motion, but don't quote me on that. You see, this is a law of nature, and as such, it's going to apply to human nature as well. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, so that every time that you do something, there is a reaction as a result of that action. It's pretty simple stuff, but not so much. So we have to kind of really give this one some thought. Every time you diet, you restrict. So if you look at it like I was holding a pendulum and it was here, every time you say, no, I can't have that, no, too many calories, can't have that, shouldn't do that, it's like you're pulling the pendulum back, okay? And up here, you've got some really restrictive behavior. If you let go at this point, and by the way, you always let go. Everybody always lets go of some type of rigid behavior. They don't last. They never do. What happens is you're going to have an equal and opposite reaction. Did you ever go to an amusement park where you rode some kind of ride? In my case, it was called the Viking Swing. It was out in California at Knott's Berry Farm. And I remember the Viking Swing. You'd sit in it and it would start to rock, and it was real kind of slow at first, but then it would start to go higher and higher, and before you know it, you're way up here. And okay, that's what I think of when I think of this. Whenever I think of the pendulum swing effect, I always think of the Viking ship ride because it reminds me that the more momentum you get, the more you're going to go higher and higher on each end. You want to think of your behavior like that. Whenever you take something out to an extreme, and the high up, that's what is going to be known as the extreme in this case, you're going to have to go all the way over to the opposite extreme. So if you're on an extreme diet where all you're eating is cabbage soup, then you can expect to see a binge on the other side of that. It is a law of nature. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That's why dieting leads to binge eating. That's why people who go on diets gain the weight back and then some. They don't just gain the weight back, they go into such an extreme reaction that they gain more weight than if they hadn't started the diet in the first place, which is why dieting does not work under the traditional mindset that we approach dieting with. So what I'm suggesting to you, in suggesting that you give yourself permission to eat whatever you want, is that you completely blow the diet paradigm out the water and start afresh and learn how to eat from an intuitive source, which is you, which is your own sense of what is and is not right for you and your body. So that's the pendulum swing effect. Guys, I can't encourage you enough to keep your questions coming. I really am enjoying doing these Q&A Friday videos, and I can't tell you how much it helps to get your feedback and to get your questions. So as always, email me and let me know if you have any comments or feedback, okay? I look forward to talking to you in the next Q&A Friday video. Until then, take care.